Okay, thank you all for coming. My name is Denise Wilkinson. I'm the president of the Norfolk Area Chamber, and in a partnership with the city, the chamber, and the small business resource team, we are very happy to bring you this information. Some housekeeping items. We will take questions at breaks that were listed on the agenda. Please type your questions in the chat box, and Jared will read them at break for them to be addressed by the resources. Please also mute your microphones until, if you're a presenter, until it's your turn to speak. Again, all questions will be through the chat room. A video presentation of this meeting is being recorded for viewing later. And also, I would like to introduce Mayor Josh Moning, who will be our moderator for this session.
Great, thank you, Denise. Thank you to the Norfolk Chamber of Commerce for working with me and the city of Norfolk over the last week to organize this opportunity. It looks like we have a number of people on the call. I think we're somewhere in between 80 and 90 right now. So thanks for all of you taking the time to join us. This was important to me and the chamber to get together rather quickly with our small business community for the purposes of linking up business owners and those working in small businesses to resource organizations that can help during this trying period. Since this started, it's a trying time for everyone, but particularly our small businesses, and we've encouraged at the City of Norfolk and the Norfolk Chamber for businesses and customers to creatively engage each other during this time, but also now is an opportunity for us to explore opportunities through program assistance from our various government agencies and others who are there to help during these times. So we lined up a list of speakers, representatives of these different organizations to present to us this morning. It's going to be brief. We've got an extensive lineup. So we've asked everyone to limit their comments to less than 5 minutes. And we're going to take short breaks after 3 or 4 speakers to allow for questions, and then allow for questions at the end. So we're going to roll right into this. First, and I'm going to go through, so for the sake of everybody on the phone who so you know who will be coming on, I'm going to run through the roster of speakers, and then we'll start with our first. But first in line is Leon Milovar. He's the representative of the United States Small Business Administration in the state of Nebraska. We also have Richard Baer, who will talk to us. He's the president of the Nebraska Bankers Association. We've invited our local bankers to be on this call as well. Kristen Hasselbrook from the Nebraska State Chamber is with us. Lindsay Jennis, who is with the Nebraska Department of Economic Development. Becky Maggart from the Nebraska Department of Labor. Jeff Christensen and Tom Higginbotham of the Northeast Nebraska Economic Development District. Kathy Lang of the Nebraska Business Development Center. Tim Arlton and Nicole Sabachek of NPPD, Nebraska Public Power District. Bill Shepard, U.S. Department of Agriculture. Juan Sandoval of SCORE, a small business organization. And then finally, Candace Alder of our local small business resource team and the city economic development team. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Milovar, Leon Milovar, who is the director of the U.S. Small Business Administration Office in Nebraska. Leon, thanks for joining us. Do we have Leon on the call?
He's on the call. He's muted. He's on.
Okay.
Okay. This is Leon Miller. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Again, I'm Leon Milovar with the United States Small Business Administration. I have a number of things I want to go ahead and cover in the 5 minutes that have been given to me. First of all, the disaster declaration, we received that on Friday, and basically that covers the terms that under which the economic injury disaster loan under which Nebraska falls. This is for the occurrence from January 31st of this year, and the last filing deadline date is December 21st. This is for loans up to $2 million with an interest rates for businesses of 3.75%, And for private nonprofits, we always have to think of private nonprofits too that have been impacted. Their interest rates are 2.75%. There are credit requirements. The loan terms are based on we determine the installment payment based on financial conditions of each borrower, which in turn determines the loan terms. One of the things I suggest for everybody to do who is applying, all businesses, that even includes independent contractors also qualify, that they go to SBA.gov disaster, and our loan application is there online. There are worksheets that are also, we suggest, there's a paper application. We suggest filling out that paper application, and so when they get online, they have all the data that they need to go ahead and put in that application online. It speeds up the process. We are not basically taking any paper applications. Also, there is a 1-800 number that I've sent out for, and it's included in the documents that I sent out that should help explain how to go ahead and access, and if you have questions. One thing I would like to go ahead and do now is if you have questions, if somebody has questions about the application process, call our Omaha number 402-221-4691. And we'll do the best we can in answering questions. We are looking at potentially doing some training programs on the application. Our application process is being updated, and you know, there are a few things that we're going to go ahead and change because of the sheer demand that we're seeing. The first payment for the loan payment is deferred 1 year after the note is signed. So we're giving the business owners a long period of time to go ahead and recover before they have to start paying it back. The other thing I want to talk about is deferment. Since in the Norfolk area, there was impact because of all the flooding and all that. The SBA administrator yesterday, there was an announcement that all SBA disaster loans, this is previous disaster loans, now everything is deferred to the end of the year. So no payments, nothing has to be made unless you want to voluntarily do it on any of the SBA disaster loans. Now, the other deferments that we're looking at, if somebody currently has an SBA loan through one of our financial institutions, it's the bank has unilateral authority to go ahead and defer any of the loan payments there. And then the other thing we're asking the banks to do for their best customers, all that, please consider any deferments on any of the standard commercial loans that they offer. We're looking at another loan program as soon as Congress passes the bill that will be working through our all of our local lending institutions, and I know we're working with the Nebraska Bankers Association, and Richard was going to talk a little bit about some of the things that the banks are going to go ahead and do. This is the highlights of what we're going to go ahead and do. And at that point, I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor, and you know, thank you for the time to go ahead. You know, questions, let's save them for later. I'm more than happy to go ahead and answer any questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks very much, Leon. We appreciate the time. I know you're pulled in a lot of different directions right now. Thank you very much. It sounds like the resources you referred to can all be found at your website, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, we appreciate that. We want to keep moving. Again, we'll make time, have short breaks for questions in between every 3 or 4 speakers. You can register your questions if you have them through Zoom. Next, we're going to hear from Richard Beyer, who is the President and CEO of the Nebraska Bankers Association. Thank you, Richard, for joining us.
Morning, Josh, and good morning to the Norfolk community. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Just a couple of general comments, and maybe first and foremost, just want to remind folks that really Nebraska banks were really solid before we saw any of the impact of the last few weeks. What I would tell you is we remain strong with strong capital, and our folks are open for business. They're obviously open a little bit differently than they've been in the past, with many of our lobbies closed to day-to-day traffic or by appointment only. What I would tell you as we go through this process, we do have regulatory approval now to work really kind of a regulatory blessing to work with customers as best we can to try and mitigate the impacts of the pandemic. So our banks obviously know their customers better than anyone. And so they are out actively working with customers and trying to address issues. We're hearing banks who are doing things like interest-only payments or P&I only pay, or waiving, deferring P&I payments for 30, 60, 90 days to try and help their customers through this difficult time. We're also working closely with many of our bankers whose small businesses are being impacted from an unemployment perspective. So we've sponsored several events for our bankers to try and connect them with their unemployment services so that they can share with their small business customers, obviously, if folks are laying off, how to help those employees work their way through this process. What I would tell you, the other thing that we're, I would just, as Leon was talking about, is trying to get information about SBA as well. We are watching closely and doing frequent visits with both congressional and regulatory groups to make sure that as new programs come about, we're able to roll those out efficiently and effectively to small businesses across the state. So your bankers are going to be your frontline folks. I'd encourage any small business owners in Nebraska who are experiencing challenges or difficulty to contact their banker in advance and to work with them in a proactive fashion so that there are not surprises or challenges later. So again, not a lot of specifics at this point, but I would encourage you really to get out to your banks early and often and know that banks are strong and they're going to be part of our solution going forward and helping our small businesses weather this uncharted territory that we're in. So, Mayor, I don't have a lot of other things I need to offer at this point, but I'd be happy to take any questions that folks might have.
Okay, thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. I think a couple notes to emphasize there. Nebraska is in a good position here to weather this kind of storm because our banks are strong. Our local community, independent banks, and otherwise, we're in a very strong position coming into this. And I think we'll need to be part of the solution to help us get out of it. And so as small businesses work creatively to continue business operations during this time, I think we're going to have to lean on our banks to be creative in helping them through this as well. So we appreciate what the Nebraska Bankers Association is doing and what our local banks are doing in that regard. Thank you, Richard.
I'm glad to do it. Thanks, Mayor.
All right, next we're going to hear from Kristen Hassebrook, who is a representative of the Nebraska State Chamber of Commerce. Kristen, are you with us?
I am. Thanks so much for having me on today. Again, I'm with the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce, and we have been really primarily serving as kind of a facilitator and a connector on information related to resources, programming, and answering questions for small businesses and employees across the state. We will continue to do that. On our website, you can see we have an extensive sort of informational resources page where we're just continually and daily and hourly updating that as we get more information. So we're really trying to pull together a lot of the folks that are even on this call and put links to their resources and their Q&As on our website. We're also available by phone. We are open and answering the phone and trying to help move folks from question to answer or to where they need to go to get the answers that they need. A couple of other things that we're doing, just so you all are aware, and one of the things I'm really looking forward to hearing from folks on the call today is your engagement, because at the Nebraska Chamber, we're really in a position where we're having daily communication with our state and federal leadership, state senators, the governor, our federal delegation. And so we're really working to provide good answers back to those leadership as to what are the necessary pieces that we're going to be needing in this state in terms of relief or programming. Are there regulations that need to be looked at to make sure that we can move through this process and then get on to recovery sooner? And so we will be participating in those conversations, like I said, on a daily basis. And then another thing that we're working on is with our local chambers of commerce on events like this, as well as our membership in general, to make sure that we're sharing best practices across businesses and across chambers of commerce so that communities and businesses can, again, sort of move through this and recover as quickly as possible. I'm happy to answer any questions, but that's kind of a big overview of what we're up to at the State Chamber.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. I know you followed the legislature closely, and there was some action taken yesterday. Do you want to give us a brief update on what the Nebraska legislature did yesterday?
Yes, happy to do that. So yesterday, the legislature convened for a very limited purpose agenda, as I'm calling it. Basically, they took up an $83 million emergency coronavirus funding package. These monies would go into a couple of big picture areas, primarily for additional staffing resources, additional personal protective equipment resources for our healthcare industry, and some other costs related to testing, cleaning of supplies, those sorts of things. Now, those monies will go to the Department of Health and Human Services and be distributed out that way. The legislature also authorized $25 million in kind of unobligated reserves that the governor, working with his administration, can tap into to spend, as they need, beyond sort of the approximately $56 million that they already knew how they wanted to spend those dollars. That bill, that was taken up as an amendment to an existing piece of legislation yesterday. It passed quickly, 44-0. There were 5 senators who chose not to come, either because of personal preference or just health conditions. They wanted to just sort of, stay at a safe social distance. The legislature will be, so that was passed on second round debate yesterday. It will lay over today, according to the procedural rules, and they will be back in session tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 to pass that legislation, in its final round of debate, and it will go to the governor immediately. That legislation does have an emergency clause, so as soon as the governor signs it, those dollars will be available to the state and to the Department of Health and Human Services to spend.
Okay, thanks very much, Kristen. We appreciate it. Okay, we're going to keep moving here. Next up is Lindsay Jennis, representative of the Nebraska Department of Economic Development. Lindsay, you there?
Yes, hi, good morning. Thanks for the chance to visit with you this morning. I want to keep it short, just hit some of the high points as far as the Department of Economic Development is concerned. I'm your field staff for DED here in Northeast Nebraska, and so I've had the fortune of working with many of you on this call, businesses along with the local regional utility partners, and appreciate that partnership. And just like any other time, we want to know what your needs are as businesses, what is going to help you thrive and grow, but also in times of challenge, what you need to move forward. Word out just this afternoon that I want to make sure you're aware of, or this morning, that Governor Ricketts will be hosting another Facebook Live event today for businesses. That's at 4:00 p.m. And can be found on his Facebook page. Those are recorded, so you can go back and look at them. You can also go back and look at the one last Friday. There was some good information there for employers as well. So I think that'll be kind of updated, some of that information. He also has a 2 p.m. That can be every weekday, that can be viewed on netnebraska.org, and that's just in the live on-demand section. So that's just general COVID-19 information and kind of the latest information that's out there every day. We've got a list of resources available at opportunity.nebraska.gov, and I see Jared's got that up for those of you who are on the webinar. You can also always just go, if you're looking, you can just put in a search for Nebraska Department of Economic Development, and we've got some of those resources there. And like the State Chamber, we're trying to link to other partners as well. So appreciate that collaboration. I also understand, though, a list of resources can be difficult to navigate when you're working through that crisis. So happy to help troubleshoot, work through some of those things, and let you know maybe where your next call is, or to make some of those referrals. Small Business Administration, those loans, I appreciate the presentation on those before, and I realize the demands on them are going to be high. And so our director has said we want to try to help support that as much as we can, and make referrals also to Nebraska Business Development Center with that, just because they have some expertise as far as that goes. So if you're wondering who some of those contacts are, too, and you're just kind of trying to figure out who's who, happy to help with that. We have received guidance from the federal government on how the Community Development Block Grant that the state has can be used to assist businesses that have been impacted. This is a program we regularly use in our agency, and those of you who are familiar with it, not a lot's changed as far as what we can do with it in response to COVID-19, but generally, we look at funding through our economic development category as far as the community of Norfolk. And what that looks like, we would look at the economic development funding category. Won't go into too many of the details, but just for example, it could mean supporting a new business or a business expansion to create jobs. For instance, one of the examples that was given was to manufacture medical supplies needed to respond to infectious disease. We can also look at helping companies avoid job loss by business closures that could be related to social distancing or what's happening with COVID-19, with some short-term working capital to small businesses, with the focus on retention of jobs that are held by low and moderate income persons. So overall, incredibly challenging time. Know you're dealing with a lot of difficult decisions and want to try to help position you in the best way that we can and support you going forward. I'll turn it back over to the mayor, but happy to answer questions later. Thank you.
All right. Hey, thanks, Lindsay. If you hold on for just a second, I want to say Lindsay does a lot of good work in our region. She's our regional representative for Nebraska DED. And that's very important because if you have initial questions about any of these programs, you can contact her and she can help you navigate all this different information. So Lindsay, what is the best way for someone to reach you directly?
Probably the best way, 402-768-1407. You can also find my email and that phone number on our website. You'll just look at the regional staff, the website that he's got up. You can find me that way as well.
Okay, very good. And Lindsay also mentioned that the governor is hosting a Facebook Live small business discussion this afternoon at 4 o'clock, Lindsay, is that right? 4 p.m. And he did one of these last week, I believe, I think very helpful in talking about the state programs and potentially the federal programs that are available for help. So I would encourage you to join the governor's Facebook page and link up and participate in that Facebook Live event at 4 o'clock today. Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Becky Maggard, who represents the Nebraska Department of Labor in our Northeast Nebraska region. Thanks for joining us, Becky.
Thank you. Thanks for asking me to participate. I manage the Department of Labor office in Norfolk. Our office is currently open, but we are strongly encouraging people to come in or to file their unemployment benefits online during the COVID-19 pandemic. And the website to file is neworks.nebraska.gov. Nebraska is spelled out, and then that website, I'll mention it a couple of times, so I'll mention that again. So if an individual needs immediate assistance, we strongly recommend that they call our office at 402-370-3430, and we will serve them virtually. The claim center is in Lincoln, and the line to get through is extremely long. So if they can call our office, we could assist them quicker. Most of the employer questions that we have been receiving are related to short-time compensation, STC. STC is a supplemental payment program administered through the Department of Labor Unemployment Insurance. STC helps you, the employer, retain your workforce during a temporary slowdown. Employees at your business are able to receive supplemental unemployment benefits to help them offset their loss of income. All employees in an affected unit must have their usual hours reduced by the same percentage, ranging from 10 to 60%. So, for example, a production company could have a maintenance unit, an HR unit, production line unit, and then there's also exempt versus non-exempt employees. So there's a lot of variances there. The employer would need to complete an STC application online at the same website, neworks.nebraska.gov. The affected employees would still need to file their own individual unemployment insurance claim at neworks.nebraska.gov. And the employees will submit weekly certifications for any weeks that they have reduced hours prior to the approval of the employer's STC plan. I know that's a lot of information and I can send out a PowerPoint. Once the STC plan is approved, then the employer will submit the weekly certifications reporting the number of hours offered, what hours were worked, and any hours of leave, whether they be paid or unpaid, for each employee that has filed a claim and is a part of the plan. On Tuesday, March 17th, Governor Ricketts issued an executive order for any claims filed between March 22nd and May 2nd that states employees filing for unemployment are not required to look for work, the unpaid wait week is waived, and DOL will waive charges to your UI tax account for benefits paid on unemployment claims that are related to COVID-19. For information on short-time comp, I have the directions kind of spelled out here. You would go to dol.nebraska.gov. Then you click on businesses, which is kind of in the middle of the page towards the top. And then unemployment insurance tax on the next page. And then finally on the left under employer functions, apply for short-time comp. Due to the high volume of calls at the call center, general UI questions can be sent to ndol.nichelp@nebraska.gov. If you have questions specific to short-time comp, you would send those questions to ndol.stclegal@nebraska.gov. And then finally, on the Nebraska Department of Labor website, you will find COVID-19 resources and information for both employers and workers. And that website is dol.nebraska.gov/press release/details/141. And again, just call our office if you have questions, 370-3430, and we will try to help.
Great, Becky, thank you. That's a lot of information to navigate. So can you say the phone number one more time?
The local office number here is 402-370-3430. And let me also give you 402-370-3204 would be another good number to call.
Okay, very good. So we just had a question that came into the queue about whether these unemployment insurance changes apply only to full-time employees or if they apply to part-time employees as well.
Both full and part-time, everybody's eligible to apply for benefits. The weekly benefit amount is based on the money in their base period. So after someone files their initial claim based on initial information that they provide, it will give them an approximate of what their weekly benefit amount would be. It will still be adjudicated, so that's not the final result, but it's based on their previous earnings. Does that answer the question?
I think so. Very good. Thank you. Jared, do we have any other questions in the queue right now?
Can our minors receive STC or other unemployment?
Yeah, say the question again.
Becky, can our minors receive STC or other unemployment?
If anybody is working for an employer that pays unemployment taxes in, then they are eligible. So we've had businesses in the past, fast food restaurants, for example, that have closed that had 16-year-olds that work there, and they are eligible as the employer contributed to the UI tax fund.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep. So like people that worked, at a daycare, not at a daycare, but at a private house, they would not be eligible. The employer had to have contributed to paid in their taxes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Becky.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right, next we have representing Northeast Nebraska Economic Development District, Jeff Christensen and Tom Higginbotham.
Good morning, Tom Higginbotham here. I'll go first. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
All right, good. We kind of serve a couple different purposes. Our main purpose is we serve the local governments in 16 counties. So, you know, from a big picture, you know, we're kind of a resource center distributing information, kind of like we did with the flooding as it relates to this. One thing that we're doing is paying close attention to the federal stimulus package, which involves a lot of the federal agencies that we work with, like the HUD CDBG program, USDA Rural Development, the Economic Development Administration, or EDA. As they roll that out and funds come available for assistance for small businesses, we will do our best to get that information out to our communities and local businesses. And if there's any dollars that are available, we'll try to access those and push that information out to our 16 counties. In addition to that, we actually are a GAP financer. We have a business revolving loan fund, and Jeff Christensen is our business loan specialist, and I will let him talk about some of the things that we can do with some of the funding that we have, and especially if you are an existing business loan client of ours, what we can do for help there. So I'll turn it over to Jeff to talk a little bit about that. If Jeff is there. He may be muting himself. Well, until Jeff gets on there, I can a little bit of, if any of our business clients, especially in the Norfolk area, have any issues moving forward, we've got several business loans in the area. Please call Jeff directly, 649-7223. You know, we can do a lot of the similar things that Richard Beyer mentioned that the banks are doing, interest only for a time frame, or defer payments and those kind of things to help our local businesses that we're already helping. And we have received some disaster funding in the past through USDA that we can, you know, help businesses with, whether it's working capital to help them get through these tough times. But most importantly, I think, you know, obviously, if you hear of any businesses that need assistance, the best thing for them to do is to call us directly. We can sit down and talk about what their issues are and what their needs are, and then we kind of, you know, serve as that resource center, you know, whether we need to involve USDA or, you know, some of these other local small programs that are out there, like the ones that are listed on this agenda here are folks that we work with each and every day doing these things. So if there's any questions, we'll take them. If not, like I said, we'll just continue to push out information as we're beginning to help through this process.
Great, thanks, Tom. And I just want to say here that NENED, Northeast Nebraska Economic Development District, does a lot of good work throughout the region of Northeast Nebraska to help small business development. These guys are the front lines in a lot of ways for helping businesses get started and also helping businesses through times like this. So I would highly encourage you to reach out to Tom or Jeff if you have questions about their various programs. They work in collaboration with many of the organizations that we're hearing from today and can be a good first step in seeking assistance. Tom, just quickly, I know you work closely with our federal delegation and you monitor what's going on the federal level. Do you want to comment at all on what may be coming out of DC in terms of help that's relevant to businesses in Nebraska? Or is it too early to say anything in that regard?
Well, they're working on that stimulus package right now, and I actually staying in contact with our state association lobbyists and then also our federal lobbyists for our national association, and they're working on the stimulus package. And I saw some brief comments about that. I mean, it includes a lot of the federal programs that we work with. You know, there's going to be a lot of stuff in there through the USDA Rural Development, through the HUD CDBG program, and through the Economic Development Administration. And so I've seen some comments. There's going to be some dollars proposed for those programs that are related to the coronavirus. So we're paying attention to that, and as soon as that gets passed, we'll, start looking at that, and hopefully, they can push those dollars out quickly. Kind of the same process with the flooding, from last March. So, but we're staying on top of that, Josh, and we'll kind of just push that information out as it comes out. And Jeff was on the call. He must be experiencing. He texted me some technical difficulties. He could hear, he just couldn't talk. So, but please, just give us a call. And also too, one thing that we do at the federal level is, we advocate a lot for these programs. So if there are ever any issues from anybody out there that you want us to push up that way to our national association to talk about the importance of these programs, you just let us know, because we have excellent relationships with our congressional staff up there on the Hill.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tom. That's helpful. We've gotten a message here that it may be hard to hear us here in the room. There's a group of us here at the Norfolk Chamber of Commerce building, and there's less than 10 of us, rest assured, and we're all safely, socially distanced. I moved a little closer to what we think is the mic picking up sound, so hopefully that helps. Jared, any questions in queue right now? Okay, well, we're gonna keep moving then. And next up is Kathy Lang with the Nebraska Business Development Center. Kathy, are you with us?
I am with you, and I'm very honored to be here. Mayor, thank you so much for pulling this together. Denise, thank you so much for asking us to be part of this. We're glad to be here. I want to let you know that specifically, the Nebraska Business Development Center is open. We are working virtually across the state, but we are available to our businesses across Nebraska to assist them. At this time, in the Northeast Nebraska area, we have 2+1 resources for you to be in direct contact with. I think many of you know very well Lauren Kuchera, who has been a longtime NBDC consultant for the Small Business Development Center role. And Lauren is going through a family situation at this time. We extend our condolences to him. In light of that, we have asked Sarah Bennett, who is an SBDC consultant in the Grand Island Kearney area, to support the needs of the Northeast Nebraska business community. We're in the process of getting that information out to our partners so that they know Sarah is available. We'll be modifying our website to assure that when you click on the Northeast Nebraska location, you will find Sarah Bennett's information to be able to be in contact with her. We know Lauren will be back with us, and so we are looking forward to his return. Also in the Norfolk area covering Northeast Nebraska is Megan Burish, and Megan is focused on our procurement technical assistance program, helping our Nebraska businesses with being able to contract with levels of government to provide service. So I would urge local or the Northeast Nebraska businesses to be in touch with Megan and with Sarah during this time. In a way, I view that we are triangulated a little bit, not only with the bankers serving Nebraska businesses, but also the Small Business Administration serving Nebraska businesses through this loan process. Our role in that is that we can provide direct assistance to the Nebraska business as they go through the SBA loan process. So there is the online version, and many businesses will be able to go through that very easily. but there will be some businesses that may need direct support. And so we are there for them to help them through that process. So to Leon and Richard, thank you for being a partner. Also, we are in direct communication with all of the partners that are on this call, whether that's the Development District or the Department of Economic Development. There is a great network that has been built in Northeast Nebraska, and we are part of that, and we are engaged in that right now. I do want to let you know that one of the things we're doing with our website, and thank you for pulling up the page. If you go to our main website, this is the top panel of our website. You click on a link and it takes you to this page. This page is going to be under constant construction and development. One of the things that we're doing as we look at resources is we are looking at them with the small business owner in mind. And we are not only providing a link to a resource, but we're providing an explanation of why would you go to that resource. So we hope that you'll avail yourself of this website, knowing that it will be under constant development. Right now, it's a list of a few resources. We're eventually going to break that into categories so that it'll be easier to navigate state agency resources, federal agency resources, NBDC resources, community resources. The other thing that we're becoming aware of, and Tom, you've raised some of that today, Tom Higginbotham, is that many of our local communities or local counties are creating some resources. And while we do not pretend to be the expert in all of that, we are going to have a link to a page that will list by county where there are local resources coming up. And as we hear about those, we're going to place them on that page. Right now, I think my perspective is imitation is the best form of flattery. And so if we find something great out there, we're going to put it on our website so that we can share it out. I think that's all for me at this time. I urge you to be in touch with Megan and then ultimately with Sarah. I will have that information for you so that you can share that out. And then, of course, if there is anything that I can do, my phone number is on that page right now on the slide presentation, and I'm available to try and connect you to the resources that, that we know are out there. So thank you. Best of luck to all of our businesses. You're the lifeblood of our communities and our state, and we want to be of service to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you for your years of service to the state of Nebraska in this role now at NBDC, which is a great business partner in the region and really can act as a funnel for information that you need, not only to the services that they provide, but services that other organizations provide. So again, use Nebraska Business Development Center as a resource. And they've got very good, skilled staff right here in Northeast Nebraska. We extend our condolences to Lauren's family during this time. Megan Burrish, who Kathy mentioned, is office right here in the Norfolk Chamber of Commerce building. So use these resources. Again, Kathy, thank you for joining us. All right, next we turn to Tim Arlt and Nicole Sedlacek of the Nebraska Public Power District. Tim and Nicole, are you with us?
This is Tim. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Well, okay, great. Good morning, Norfolk community. Great to join you at this event this morning. Thank you, Mayor Moaning and the Chamber for putting this on. I think it's a great way to share knowledge and wisdom across all efforts going on to deal with the issue at hand. NPPD is the electrical power supplier for the Norfolk community, in addition to many other communities across the state. And I'm the vice president and the general manager of our retail division. So this is a different type of challenge for NPPD. Typically, we have to deal with the physical damage to the system, whether it's ice, flood, snow. This is a silent type of attack here. So it's a different environment for us, but we are prepared. And I need to stress, excuse me, that operationally, we do not anticipate or expect service disruptions due to COVID-19. Our call center is open and functioning normally. Our teams are sequestered and isolated, ready to provide service and respond to outages. Would like to point out that we have suspended electrical shutoffs for non-pay at this time. So that should provide some relief to those who are experiencing difficulty in making payments during this time. We would encourage customers to certainly call us and have a conversation with us about payment arrangements. Like I said, our call center is open to deal with that type of traffic. And we really are here to help and work with the consumers to make sure that they don't fall too far behind. But again, we will not disconnect power during this time frame. We also have programs set up for those customers who are experiencing difficulty through Health and Human Services, the Red Cross, our Pennies for Power program, local churches, etc. Some things I would like to point out during this time, we have suspended all walk-in traffic to our local offices to enhance social distancing. And the other thing I'd like to remind everybody of is scammers are very active right now. They're preying on the high anxiety of consumers. So please have your guard up as to scam activity. They're not shy about preying on individuals during uncertain times. We do have a couple of ways to contact us, so we would encourage contact for any type of electrical issue you may be having, and that's 1-800-275-6773, or just contact us through our website at nppd.com. And I'm here to take any questions. And Nicole, if you have anything to add, please do so.
All right, thanks, Tim. And can you hear me okay, everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So NPPD truly believes in collaboration and partnership, and we truly value all of our partners on the call this morning. Thank you, Mayor Moaning, City of Norfolk, and Norfolk Chamber for organizing this call. We know this is definitely a challenging time for our Nebraska businesses and employees, and definitely our communities. NPPD has a dedicated economic development team that is really here to serve in a role to help facilitate and connect, and we're committed to really helping you in the best way possible. Working to help sustain and retain our existing businesses in Nebraska has always been a priority of Nebraska Public Power District, and we know we share that same commitment with the City of Norfolk and the Norfolk Chamber and all of the resource providers on this call. From an ED perspective at NPPD, our team is available to help offer assistance in the form of either facilitation services. We also have a dedicated research team, dedicated economists that's really helping us understand a lot of the data coming in at us to be able to help best serve our businesses and communities. NPPD was originally scheduled for a community essentials workshop on Wednesday, April 8th. But due to the current environment and crowd limitations, and with our NPPD locations being closed to the public, that workshop is currently being retooled as a webinar that will have some specific information to help communities from a strategic planning, business retention, and expansions perspective navigate through this COVID-19 situation. Specific information will be coming out later this week. As I said, we're currently retooling that right now. And just a note for the businesses that are on the call, you may be, like Tim said, scammers, have your guard up, but you may also be asked a lot to participate or fill out an electronic survey. You know, we heard that maybe from NBA and SBA. There could be some survey fatigue, but I ask you that if you are asked to fill out a survey, specifically maybe from your local or state or regional economic development organizations in the next few days, few weeks, to really help local communities, economic development organizations, and chambers collect this information. A lot of times this information is collected only in aggregate. There could be ways, that your specific needs can be addressed in there, and follow-up will be provided. But actual numbers from these surveys really help detail the reality for our decision makers and can help provide future assistance that could be made available to our businesses. I know scammers on alert, and that you could experience survey fatigue with multiple providers reaching out to you, but just ask you to please just take a moment to fill out information that may be coming out at you, because it is best to, it's geared for you to help you and help decision makers and our policy makers get those best programs and resources out to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Tim. We know in this area, NPPD as our utility provider, our power supplier, but not a lot of people might realize that they do have an economic development arm, and Nicole represents that part of NPPD in our region and can be another resource for you as you move through this period. And Tim, appreciate that update on your move to suspend shutoffs during this period. I think that's very important, and we appreciate that. So we thank you both for being with us this morning. Okay, so as a reminder to everyone on the call, you can submit questions via the Zoom link, and we have 3 or 4 presenters left. So I just wanted to give you enough time to register those questions if you have them, and we'll take them at the end, questions for any of the presenters on the call or any of us here. Next, we'll move to Bill Shepard, who represents the U.S. Department of Agriculture here in Northeast Nebraska. Bill? Bill, you with us? Looks like we may have lost Bill.
Good morning. Sorry about that. I just needed to work the unmute function on the call. My apologies.
No problem.
Good morning, and thank you, Mayor and Norfolk Chamber, for putting the call on. I'm sure you can hear me okay by now.
Yes.
Okay, great. My name is Bill Shepard, and I'm a business program specialist with USDA Rural Development here in Norfolk. And I just wanted to go ahead and let everybody know on the call, first and foremost, as the other presenters and resource providers were talking this morning, that we as well continue to be open for business. That looks a little bit differently than what we're normally used to, but we are available by email and call, and we can take appointments as well. So I just wanted to go ahead and provide my contact information to start as a resource. And that's probably the biggest takeaway that I want to make sure that I'm portraying during this call, is that we are here for a resource. So the information that might be on the screen or that I visit with, if I wouldn't get too concerned about digging too far in the weeds. Just know that we're here as a resource, and we're happy to navigate through that with you. Our office phone number is 402-371-5350. I do have a direct extension line that is 104. And if I'm not available for our business programs, we do have another gentleman in our office. His name is Daniel Yonke, and he can be contacted at the same phone number, and his direct extension is 115. The 2 primary programs that we have that we work directly with businesses would be a guaranteed loan program, our business and industry guaranteed loan program, and also our Rural Energy for America program as well. We do have regular funding available both in these programs. We did find out with our guaranteed loan program late last week for lenders that have commercial loans through our B&I guarantee, we are providing some relief for those lenders to work with their borrowers, and that would primarily be in the form of payment deferrals. So for any borrowers that were current as of March 1st, lenders can go ahead and notify the agency. They wouldn't need our formal approval, just notification that they would be deferring payments for up to 120 days. And that cycle would go through July 31st of next year. As Tom and Richard had mentioned earlier, we are currently looking at legislation that Congress is working through, and we may have some additional program assistance and special funding as we work through that. We don't know exactly what that looks like now, but as that moves through the proper channels, we will be sure to go ahead and roll that out just as quickly as possible for everybody. Again, our loan guarantee program, our B&I guarantee program would provide 80% guarantee to banks for loans that they're working with businesses on. That would have an 80% guarantee up to $5 million and then tier down for amounts larger than that. For our Rural Energy for America program, this is available to small businesses, and there are different funding options with that particular program. We do have a 25% grant program, a combination of a grant and a loan guarantee program, and then a loan guarantee program as well. If you're looking at energy efficiency improvements with buildings such as HVAC, lighting, things of that nature, we can go ahead and cost share on that. So the programs that I have here are just regular programs, but just stay tuned. And if you have any questions, again, please contact us and use us as a resource, and we'd be happy to help. I think that's all I have, and we'll turn it back to you. Thank you for your time again.
Okay, thanks, Bill. One question that I think comes up. So USDA Rural Development serves rural areas. There's some definitions as to what rural is and what qualifies. So a city the size of Norfolk, is businesses within Norfolk qualified and eligible for your business programs?
That's a very good question. We do have program definitions for rural, and for our business programs, which these two programs are included with, our rural definition is areas with populations of up to 50,000. So that would include Norfolk. Really the only areas in Nebraska that would not be eligible at this point in time, this may change with the new census coming out, would just be the Lincoln and Omaha areas and the South Sioux City area. But pretty much at this time, all the other areas of the state are eligible.
Okay, great. Thanks for that clarification, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Juan Sandoval, who is representing SCORE, which is a small business resource organization here in Norfolk. Juan, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
We can.
Perfect. So thank you, Mayor Denise, and the staff at the Norfolk Area Chamber of Commerce for putting this together. We want to make sure that all the businesses understand that SCORE is here to help you. We also understand that the small businesses are a vital part of the United States economy. And right now we are getting a lot of calls because the coronavirus has impacted small businesses really, really hard, from our retail partners to restaurant, food trucks, and all the businesses. So, but we want to make sure that all the SCORE chapters are operating. We are open. We actually, the Norfolk and the Columbus SCORE chapter merged. We are now called Nebraska Route 81. We operate as one right now. Our office is at the Norfolk Area Chamber of Commerce. We are not taking clients in person right now, but we are providing all the support online. We have to postpone and suspend some of the workshops we're doing in person, but we are trying to put together some curriculum and implement a way that we can facilitate all the information online. You can visit our website at www.score.org, and you will be able to find mentors that will be able to give you a call or do virtual mentoring, depending on the business needs. Most of what I do is startup assistance and helping clients with loan packaging and developing a business plan. But if there is any specific question, you can call me and I will be able to connect you with any resource that I have. Also, if you go to our website, you will be able to find all kind of information from the Small Business Administration, from the SBA, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and our own resources that SCORE have developed for you. There is tons of webinars, workshops, and pre-recorded events in online stuff that we have put together during the years. So the recorded videos, you can access them anytime. So feel free to use all that information. All of that is free. And if you have any questions about how can SCORE can help you during this difficult time, you can call me at 402-371-7786, and I will be more than happy to sit down with you and see what kind of assistance do you have. Also, I work for Nebraska Enterprise Fund. I work with SCORE as a volunteer, but who really pays my salary is Nebraska Enterprise Fund. I want to provide some information about what we are doing right now with our clients that have loans with us. We are doing loan modifications on all those loans. It can be interest only or it can be deferred payments. So if you have any question or need any assistance, give us a call. I will be able to work with you on anything that you might need right now. So I'm available for video conference and or any call.
Great. Thank you, Juan. Can you say your number one more time?
402-371-7786. And also, I forgot to mention that we, with the Nebraska Route 81 SCORE chapter, we have bilingual staff. So these the same apply to all the Spanish businesses. They are in the area. There is a ton of Hispanic businesses in the area. So if they need any help, I will be able to provide any help, or we have another mentor in the Columbus area that is bilingual.
Great. I'm glad you mentioned that, Juan. Juan, I've known for a number of years, has done a lot of good work in various capacities to help small businesses across the state. And we're really fortunate to have him continue in this role with SCORE, which also has a direct partnership with the Chamber of Commerce here. So Juan is another resource you can turn to as you begin to navigate the resources available to help through this time. Thanks again, Juan.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, next we have Candace Alder. And Candace is a member of our small business resource team here in Norfolk, and also the coordinator of the City of Norfolk's Economic Development Department. So Candace, are you with us?
Is a group of organizations, many who are on this call right now, and their sole purpose is to serve small businesses in the Norfolk area and beyond. So what we have done through the Small Business Resource Team is established a page that's going to serve, much like many of the resource pages that were mentioned earlier, as links to resources for you guys as business owners in our community. And we're going to do our best to keep that updated. What makes this resource page a little bit different than some of the other resource pages that were mentioned earlier in the call is this page will have a lot of local links. You can find it at Norfolk Small Biz, that's B-I-Z, norfolksmallbiz.com. You're going to find a link to the newly established Northeast Nebraska COVID Community Response Facebook page that the city and the chamber are partnering on, City of Norfolk press releases. Both the Norfolk Chamber and the Norfolk Visitors Bureau are doing a great job of communicating the adjustments in business hours, online shopping, and curbside pickup opportunities. And if you'd like to get your business information communicated to the community, I would encourage you to reach out to the Visitors Bureau or the Chamber and get that information listed. We're also working as a team through our Norfolk Now community marketing initiative to make sure we're doing the best we can to help communicate information and promote our local business community. Our thoughts are with you guys, and as business owners and employers, we're very thankful that you choose to do business here in Norfolk, and our office and all of our partners are working hard to find ways to support you. So hang in there, and please let us know what we can do to help you.
All right, thanks, Candace. Talk about being on the front lines. Candace works directly with the city and all the organizations that we've heard from today to help businesses get started, help businesses find resources. And so she is a very good resource for you in terms of starting out in this process and, again, navigating all of this different information. Candace, can you again say, I think we might have missed you early on, can you give us the best way to contact you directly?
My direct line here at the City of Norfolk is 402-844-2263. You can also visit our website, norfolknebraskaed.com.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Candace. I want now to turn it over to Eric Johnson, if he's still with us with Northeast Community College. Eric is the director of the Center for Enterprise. Eric, are you with us?
I'm here. Thanks, Josh. Yes, I wanted to applaud all of you for putting this team together. Together we'll make us stronger. What is happening in not only in Nebraska, but also specifically in Norfolk, just continues to reiterate to my wife, Michelle, and I why we chose to move back to this fantastic state and community. And it's for folks like yourselves and all the great work and the vibrance of Nebraskans. I will tell you that things are a little different here at the college. While our students are now in an online capacity, which is going really well from all the reports I'm getting, here in the Center for Enterprise, we unfortunately had to cancel a lot of the outreach that we had scheduled with many of our partners, many of our programs that was providing some fantastic professional development this spring and into the early summer. We are flexing and now offering our current partners some consulting services that we do provide on a regular basis to many of our partners, but expanding that into business continuity. Happy to continue to work as part of the Small Business Resource Team. We're connected in with many of the organizations that have already spoke today. But if any of you have specific needs, or you have a client or a small business in town that is just really struggling through the business continuity and planning and any of those different types of things, while our resources aren't extremely deep, we do have folks who are available, and we're looking to serve however we can in this time of need. And you can reach out directly to me at 402-844-7236. Many of you have my cell phone number. Feel free to connect us however we're needed. The Center for Enterprise is Northeast Community College's outreach program, specializing in business industry training, as well as economic development. And we feel for the small businesses in our region and looking to help however we can.
Thank you, Eric. Eric and his program, the Center for Enterprise at Northeast Community College, is another tremendous resource we're lucky to have in Northeast Nebraska. And Eric's been very creative and innovative in leading that program to help be proactive in consulting services, as he mentioned, for small businesses in planning continuity. So we appreciate you being part of this, Eric, and appreciate what you do.
Thanks, Josh.
Okay, that finishes the lineup of speakers that we have. A couple housekeeping things just to finish, and want to give a couple minutes if there are any other questions those of you on the call might have. You can submit them now. I think we still have a number of our presenters on the phone. I do want to mention one issue that I've had questions about over the last few days, and that's internet access and accessibility. With the heavy demand right now and the restricted access to some public spaces that people would normally rely on, and some small businesses would rely on for internet access, there's a question of where can people go? And I want to bring Dan Spray, who is now chairman of the Norfolk Chamber of Commerce, into this discussion. Dan is the president and owner of Connecting Point, now Precision IT, and Dan has an announcement on that.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of questions, obviously, as well as everybody else does, is now that everything is moving online for both business and school, and what if I don't have internet at home? And the answer of getting internet to every home very quickly is more detailed than people realize. And so we've set up in our parking lot free Wi-Fi access on the north side of our building on 4th and Brosh. Public access, unfiltered, everything. You can maintain social distancing by staying in your vehicle, but yet still have the ability to have access for your student or for you yourself for work, or whatever it is. It has its own issues. I understand that for sure, but we're just trying to offer some spots that still maintain the social distancing piece that we need to have as a community.
Very good, and we appreciate that very much, Dan. We also, I should note, have space at the Norfolk Library. Outside of the Norfolk Library, hotspot is accessible, and I know we've had people using that internet accessibility at the library location. I've been approached by other telecom companies who are willing to create hotspots in different areas throughout the community. And so as those develop, we will keep everybody informed through our various websites and social media. I know we have, in addition to small business owners, representatives of our local banking community. I do want to provide the opportunity for any local banks who might be on to say anything, to provide comments, maybe talk about some of the things you are doing right now, if you'd like to do so. So I just leave it open right now for any member of the local banking community to comment. Okay, I know it's been a long call and we're past an hour here. I do want to sincerely thank the Chamber of Commerce for the partnership in putting this together. It was last Wednesday morning, I think, that Denise and Jared and I sat down to talk about this idea of organizing this event. And then Denise and Jared went to work in organizing it and getting all the presenters to participate. And so a lot of work went into that. So I appreciate that. Also, Candace Schmidt from the city of Norfolk, our communications person, working to publicize the event. We do appreciate your time. Jared, any questions in the queue right now?
Yes, there was a question posed to Becky Maggerts regarding the short-term compensation. Do they know approximately how long it will take to process applications? A few days ago, after submitting, this person received an email that said it may take up to 30 days. Becky, do you have any comments on that?
Yes, sorry, I was typing fast and furiously. It will take a while for the plan to be approved, to be processed and approved by unemployment, but that your employees need to file their weekly claim and keep doing their weekly certifications because they will eventually get caught up. It could take quite a while for them to receive their first benefit. Typically, a month ago it would have taken 3 weeks, but it's going to take, there's just been thousands of claims filed. And so it could take up to 6 weeks before they receive their first benefit, but they need to keep filing their weekly certification every week until once the plan is approved, then the employer will do the reporting. I know it's confusing. Does that answer the question?
We also had a comment from Ashton Speaker from Midwest Bank. She said their bank is keeping a close eye on all resources as they come available and will take any calls or questions from the community. Is there any other questions today that somebody would like to ask?
Okay, hearing none, I think we can conclude. We want to thank everyone for joining us. I think we had up to 140 people on the call at one time. So that speaks to the level of interest, understandably so, in resources that can help small businesses during this time. Again, would encourage you to check out the governor's Facebook page for the Facebook Live event. That's another good source of information that will be presented. Locally, use the folks that were on the call here as resources. And if there's any questions, I know the chamber is here and ready to support not only their members, but other small businesses too. They've been very proactive in reaching out to their small business members to help. In fact, I think there was a volunteer here last week that contacted every member to ask about needs during this time. Also, the City Economic Development Department, this is what we're here for, to try to connect and plug you to resources that can help. And we'll get through this. We don't know how long it's going to take, and that makes this especially challenging, but we will get through this. Northeast Nebraska is in better position than anywhere else I can think of because of the many skilled people and the commitment to being neighborly here to help us all get through. So thanks again. Thanks for your time, and hang in there.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And then Becky, did you have one more comment for us?
I typed it out. I do have a WebEx for employers that was put together by the unemployment department that I can send out if anybody wants it. And then I also have, I know I gave a lot of information. It's actually like a 24-page PowerPoint that I kind of condensed. So if anybody wants this full PowerPoint, my email address is Becky with a Y .Maggart, MAGGART @nebraska.gov. Just email me and I'll be happy to send it out. And I do have Rich, I have you, and I have Jana already. So, and if anybody else wants it, just let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Becky. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you.